Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our briefing for this weekend snowstorm. This is number 2. Doing last night. We're going to hop in and do it again this evening. Answer some of your questions, go over the hour by hour, what we're expecting, any changes, so on and so forth. So if we haven't already, hit that like button. We would appreciate that. And we'll go ahead and get ourselves started here. So we're going to look at the model called the HRRR model. Pretty common short-term, hour-by-hour precipitation type we're going to look at. So listen closely, and we're going to go over this hour by hour. All right, we're going to start as of right now, this afternoon, moving into tonight. Watching the system off to the south and to our west over the central Great Plains, moving up into Illinois later this evening. Overnight, we start seeing the snow and the rain with that system. Moves closer to Michigan. As we get into the morning hours of Friday, this is 7 a.m., we start seeing snow in the southern part of the UP and maybe some light snow showers working in southwest Michigan. Moving a little further into the day on Friday, we're going to move it forward 2 hours. We see the snow is pretty much engulfed the entire part of the southern peninsula, or the southern upper peninsula, and also western of the lower peninsula here as well. Get into the afternoon time frame, we see some of that snow work its way further east, and then the heaviest snow works its way in for the afternoon. This is 3 p.m. We see pretty much the entire state here covered in snow. This will likely be snow up here in northern Michigan. You don't see it here, but it'll likely be filling in there pretty quickly through the afternoon, early afternoon hours. Heaviest snow here about 3 p.m., 4 p.m. onward. It works its way northeast. We're gonna have pretty heavy snow swaths there, and pretty heavy snow bands through the afternoon tomorrow into the evening. As we get into the Friday night time frame, the entire state stays in snow, and some of the snow is likely to remain heavy throughout the evening. We do see that little change over here to rain in southeast Michigan. Pay no attention to the rain over here. But we are going to pay attention to the rain over here in southeast Michigan for sure. That low is going to move off overhead central Michigan up to the north, bringing snow on the backside of that low. This is going to be overnight Friday night into Saturday morning. We still see this state pretty much engulfed in snow, some of which could be heavy. And that low will move off to our north and east during the day on Saturday, leaving behind it lake effect snow showers as we see here in full effect. So with this being said, go ahead and back this up here. We're going to look at one thing with this particular map here, and that is the wind here. The winds are going to start to increase throughout the day on Friday, gradually increasing as we get toward the after sunset time frame. The bulk of the heaviest winds are going to be right around, I'm going to say, that 2 p.m. Friday, and that's going to last until probably early morning Saturday, through the morning on Saturday, through the day even on Saturday as well. But as the snow falls, mixing with the heavy snow, heavy winds, the majority of that will be concerning right around that 4 p.m. Friday tomorrow time frame, and then that's going to last all afternoon, all evening, and most of the overnight period. So that's going to be the period that's going to have the most blowing snow, the most drifting snow, whiteout conditions, zero visibility, as well as a likelihood that we're going to probably, not going to say for sure, but we're probably going to see a few blizzard warnings here in the state. This criteria is going to be met for multiple hours. It's going to be windy for a lot of time here while the snow is falling. We're likely going to have blizzard criteria met for a few areas here in Michigan. With that being said, we do have our accumulation map posted on our page, which is right here. We are expecting the areas in pink to receive 8 to 14 inches of snow. And then areas surrounding that in blue are going to see 5 to 10 inches of snow. And then the medium blue there in southeast Michigan, a 3 to 6 band. And then further east and far southeast Michigan towards the Detroit metro, we're expecting 1 to 3. Now, I will say latest model guidance has started shifting a little bit further east. So we're kind of watching that as we go into tonight's models and also the overnight models to kind of see trends. We'll watch real-time data as well to see how things are shaping up. But overall, this might still shift to the east very minorly. Nothing significant here, but we may see the higher total shift a little bit further east yet. And then as far as timing goes, we also have a timing map up here on our page. It looks like this. As far as the first snowflakes here in Michigan, right around the 9, 10 o'clock time frame in the morning tomorrow. And that's going to work its way northeast as time goes on. The entire state should be seeing snowflakes by the time 2 to 4 p.m. rolls around. The heaviest snow, of course, falls a little bit after that. But that's going to be your gist of this whole scenario. Again, the impacts here, heavy snow, gusty winds, potentially blizzard-like conditions, likely going to have some blizzard conditions here in the state. And then as well with the winds are going to come power outages. That probability is quite high throughout the state. So we're expecting scattered power outages to occur. And then guys, am I missing anything with this?
Not really.
Okay.
The big concern is the winds and bringing multi-day power outage for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's going to be the gist of it, guys. Again, heavy snow late afternoon tomorrow will last pretty much the entire evening into the overnight period. And again, this map, that the forecast map here that we've created, does not really account for the lake effect snow expected later on the day on Saturday into Sundays. We're likely going to see multiple more inches of accumulation for lake effect prone areas, which is usually west of US 131 in West Michigan and also parts of the UP. Those areas will likely receive more in the way of accumulation as we head into the later parts of the weekend. And then behind the system, I will say the temperatures, looking at the temperatures, they still will drop dramatically. We're looking at temperatures in the teens, lows in the single digits, with wind chills likely going to be below zero for a extended period of time here. We see all this cold air rushing behind it. We see that low pass off up here. This is Saginaw Bay area. That low is going to pass off to the east and north, and that pink color you see to the west here is all that cold air rushing in behind this low pressure system. So with that being said, we are going to have the snow that does fall is going to be on the ground for quite some time because it's not going to melt anytime soon. We're going to likely have this pretty much all week long.
Ryan, do you want to show the wind map for everyone and maybe hit on how important the winds are going to be a factor in this system?
Sure. I believe I have it here on COD. Yes, I do. Let's go ahead and use the HRRR model. And the winds are going to be highlighted here. The highest winds are going to be in purple. We're going to move this through. Let's go back to the 18Z. There we go. The winds are going to start to pick up here. There we go. These are in knots. So they're going to be a little bit higher than what we're going to see here. They're seeing 37, 35, 35, 38, 40 here. Those winds are going to pick up. These are going to be likely right around 30 miles an hour up to 50 mile per hour in terms of wind gusts. The sustained winds are likely going to be right around that 25 to 35 mile per hour range, but we see a wide swath here in Michigan of 45 knots, which will translate roughly to about 50, I want to say 51 miles per hour, if I'm correct. I don't know if anybody knows how to convert that. But that is going to be quite significant here with the heavy snow falling at the exact same time. It's going to be a statewide thing. It's not going to be just for areas receiving snow. It's going to be a statewide thing. So even if you're in Southeast Michigan here, the impacts from the storm are still going to be impactful for you. One thing I did not cover for Southeast Michigan here is that changeover that we're expecting. Going back here to that model, we're looking at a changeover to rain, likely going to be later on in Friday evening, closer toward midnight. It's going to affect primarily Metro Detroit areas, and that's going to be about 2, maybe 3 hours of rain that could possibly fall in there, and that's going to limit your overall snow totals. But also behind, as that rain moves off, behind that rain is really cold air that's going to freeze everything. So it's not going to be freezing rain. It's not going to be that at all. It's going to be pure rain, and then the cold air behind that is going to freeze what has fallen. So it'll make surfaces that are untreated very, very slick. And then as well, after that time frame, the winds kick up. We also have some snow on the backside. So again, whiteout conditions still likely statewide. And then blizzard conditions likely in the areas heaviest, where the heaviest snow is going to fall further to the west and north there in the 8 to 14 zone. And if you guys have not already, thank you for joining us here. If you haven't, hit that like button. We would appreciate that. It turns the algorithm in our favor and reaches more people with this information. So we would appreciate if you hit the like button there for us. And with that being said, we will answer some questions if you guys have any.
Before you guys flood the comments with specific places, please take a look at the map. We've got over 1,000 people in here right now. We are not going to be able to look at every single location. Please use your best judgment with the snow map that is on the screen currently. If you know about where your area is, look at that, please, before putting in your specific location.
I can cover this as well. We are seeing multiple winter storm warnings here in dark blue. These are currently active. They start roughly 10 a.m. Friday, and they'll last roughly until about 7 p.m. on Saturday, give or take a few hours depending on your location. And then areas down here in the off-color blue in southeast Michigan, this is still a winter storm watch. The Detroit Metro or the Detroit office of NWS did not issue these warnings just yet, just because there's still some uncertainty with the exact track of that low pressure. Further east track will likely see some more warnings pop up. A few further west track will likely see these winter storm watches turn into winter weather advisories. Now, if you guys are confused, winter weather advisories are the lowest criteria of winter weather alerts, and then it goes to winter storm warning, and then on top of that, there could be blizzard warnings, which I guess would be the big daddy, so to speak, of the winter alerts. So winter weather advisories are in effect for these three counties: Hillsdale, this is Branch County, and then Jackson County, I believe, as well. You guys are just under a winter weather advisory, expecting 3 to 5 inches of snow in that range. I believe Grand Rapids put a 4 to 7 for Jackson, if I'm not mistaken. But again, those counties are still kind of uncertainty with the exact track. And I believe the further west you go, the higher your accumulations are going to be with this. So if you're in Branch County especially, I would expect to get the high end of that advisory, closer to 7 inches.
Yeah, and if you guys can hear me,
Yep.
with the trend of the today's afternoon runs of the forecast models, the Weather Service specifically in discussion, they had a conference call earlier this afternoon around 2:30 when they were making these decisions. And that is a reason the Weather Service in Detroit specifically did not go ahead and upgrade to a warning outside of the Saginaw area. And the reason they didn't is because, A, the east side of the state is going to be seeing a little bit later of an arrival time. I know we kind of went over arrival times a little bit, so that's still a little bit later for the arrival time. So they held on to that watch, but they will be making, from what I understand, they will be making a warning decision overnight. Because they also want to look at the trends that we've been seeing this afternoon, we have been seeing a slight tick east with the low track as of the latest afternoon forecast models, very slight tick east and slightly colder. And like we said last night, any slight subtle change, we aren't expecting major changes anymore. This is pretty clear cut on the general track. But any slight change east or west by even 50 miles can have a big difference in that rain snow line. And so right now, that's the reason the Weather Service in Grand Rapids went ahead with an advisory for Jackson County, and the reason the Weather Service in northern Indiana went with an advisory for Branch and Hillsdale, because as of right now, that is the option that they did. However, in their internal discussions, they said it's not out of the possibility that some of these counties could get upgraded if the colder solutions do continue. So don't be surprised that by tomorrow morning, some of these counties that are in watches or advisories may get bumped up at the last minute. And of course, we'll have updates throughout the night and into tomorrow morning as well here at Michigan Storm Chasers that will cover all of that for you.
There is a comment that I wanted to address here a minute. I saw it was way back up here. It was someone asked what the wave height was expected to be, followed by another comment that said we don't pay attention to the UP in Lake Superior. First of all, I just want to say that's completely untrue. We are looking at everything. Sorry we didn't get to your comment right away, but don't think for a minute we don't pay attention to the UP. Reading the National Weather Service forecast for the Lake Superior. Friday, you have east winds of 20 to 30 knots, increasing to 40 knots by late morning. Freezing spray in the afternoon, waves building 12 to 17 feet, occasionally to 21 feet. And then on Friday night, northeast gales to 45 knots, becoming north to 40 knots. Again, heavy freezing spray with snow showers. Sorry for the cat that just tore through my face there. Waves building 17 to 22 feet, occasionally up to 28 feet, and then subsiding 15 to 20, occasionally to 25.
Yeah, and we, obviously looking at the map, we are including the UP. It is included in there with those snow totals. Again, general 6 to 10 for most of the UP, and this is just with the system. Again, Friday into Saturday, with 8 to 14, with a little bit of lake enhancement as that area low pressure moves into the area of Lake Huron. Those winds on the northwest side of the area low pressure will be funneling in bands of snow from Lake Superior. Lake enhanced snow, which is why that 8 to 14 from Marquette and Munising east to just near Sault Ste. Marie. So those areas inland may not see as much snow initially. That's still a good amount, half a foot of snow to 10 inches, but areas near Marquette and Munising and towns near there, unfortunately, I don't know as many UP towns, but we'll get that enhancement. But both in the snowfall totals and in the timing map that we showed you, the UP's right there. We've included them. We'll never not include them in a system that is affecting them as well.
There is potential. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, and we've been looking at this for the past couple of days. A lot of the models also agreed on some topography enhancement, especially in western Marquette and eastern Baraga County, especially in the Michigami-Ishpeming area. Some models were exceeding 12 to 18 inches in some spots, but that's because of the topography, and it's a very, very small area. And so that's why we went with the broad 8 to 14 along the shores of Lake Superior up there.
Alex, there's a good question in here. What qualifies a storm as a blizzard? Can you answer that for everybody?
Yeah, so it really just comes. Can you hear me?
Nope.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. It comes down to criteria. There's a reason why they haven't gone with blizzard warning yet. Blizzard warning is a very strict criteria. The Weather Service, I know in Grand Rapids and in Gaylord, both put in their winter storm warning text that blizzard conditions are certainly possible and likely in cases. But for an actual blizzard, the definition is falling snow in a 3-hour period with winds in excess of 35 miles an hour, frequent gusts in excess of 35 miles an hour, along with visibility reduction of a quarter mile or less. For a blizzard, and it has to be at least 3 hours for that criteria. So a quarter mile visibility or less and frequent gusts of 35 miles per hour or greater for at least 3 hours. So it's a strict definition. The storm system certainly should meet that. But the Weather Service in Grand Rapids and in Gaylord right now have just stuck with the winter storm warning criteria with blizzard conditions in that text specifically. So don't be surprised tomorrow to see some counties be upgraded to a blizzard warning. But again, whether the verbiage is a winter storm warning versus a blizzard warning, this is going to be a pretty powerful storm system with blizzard conditions likely, which is why we've included that in our text key messages as well. The third bullet point being blizzard whiteout conditions likely.
Hi, Dylan.
Someone corrected me. It's Baraga. I don't get to the UP often, but thank you.
Yeah, if we don't pronounce something correctly in the UP or in the Lower Peninsula, for example, please correct us. We apologize. I only get to the UP a couple of times in the last couple of years. There's some towns, I've lived in Michigan my entire life, and there's some towns that sometimes I'm just like, oh, I pronounced that wrong. We have some towns down here by where I live in Kalamazoo where Chandler lives, like Dowagiac or something like that even some people don't know how to pronounce. So it's unique where we live in the state of Michigan, a lot of the unique town names and county names.
I'm seeing quite a few questions on here in regards to that white circle and also areas around Metro Detroit. That area is going to see snow. You are going to see snow. It's not going to be all rain. The white circle is just indicating an area where we think rain may mix in and cut down those totals. But again, that is shifting a little bit further east. So we'll have an update on that tomorrow. But it's going to start to snow. It's going to change to rain late Friday night. And then by overnight Friday into Saturday morning, it's going to change back over to snow. You're not going to see significant accumulation, but you still are going to see snow over in the lighter blue color areas in the 1 to 3, 3 to 6 zone. And also, like I said, watch for some shifting going on here in the next couple of model runs. We'll have an update for you guys tomorrow morning to address that. But again, that forecast can be changed here. It's not completely final.
It's going to have a kind of east-northeast track as we go about the day.
Let's see here.
I see a comment that says shifting east, as in we don't really expect anything to shift east. If it does shift east, well, what we mean by that is it could have a 10 to 20 mile shift kind of from the center of Michigan over towards the east side. That's something we won't know until tomorrow, until we're able to see where the low is specifically tracking through.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Right now, for example, just giving a brief example of what we mean. If we have the center of the low area of low pressure, let's say, move from Coldwater north to Lansing to Saginaw into into Lake Huron, it may shift east by 20 miles or 30 miles and move, instead of from Coldwater, move east to Hillsdale, to Flint, to Bad Axe, into Lake Huron. So that slight difference could mean the world for areas that are currently in that 3 to 6 may see more closer to 6. And the areas in 1 to 3 may see closer to 3, 4 inches, and will lessen the amount of time rain creeps in. So that's what we mean by that shift. That shift means everything, and vice versa. If it moves instead from Coldwater to Lansing to Saginaw and moves slightly west, let's say to a Three Rivers to Ionia to Mount Pleasant line, for example, that would shift everything a little bit further west, bring it a little bit more rain to the east side of the state, and cut down on those totals in the 3 to 6 and 5 to 10 range. So you'd see the lower end of those totals. But that shift right now that we're seeing is slightly east, but not by a ton, by 10 to 20 miles. But again, when you're in that circle, that white circle, that can make all the difference in the snow totals. And one of the things I want to point out too is this is the most significant storm we've seen to date this year, and that's the reason we've been ramping up wording. We don't like to hype things up here. That is against what we do. One of the reasons we started this was the disconnect between the government and media and the local public. And one of the core things we wanted to do was bridge that gap, but to bridge it by information, not by hype. And so when we see this data over and over, up through the day before an event, we know it's pretty much going to happen. And so when we compare things, when we see comparisons, I've seen some of the comments, how does this compare to the blizzard of 78? Or how does this compare to this megastorm? Each storm is different. The blizzard of 78, for example, was arguably the biggest storm in the history of the state of Michigan. We're going to see an area of low pressure move up through the east side of the state at about 970 millibars. The blizzard of 78 moved up through western Ohio with an area of low pressure measured the lowest pressure on land, I think in the upper 950s.
It was actually 955.
Yeah, okay, mid 950s. So
much deeper and much stronger.
Much deeper. Yeah, much stronger. But a lot of the things that we were looking at for the blizzard of 78, while it was a powerful storm, a lot of lake effect came in behind that as well, similar to what we may see here. So the comparisons that I would say is this obviously isn't going to reach the blizzard of 78, but it's going to be a significant snowstorm. We usually average one, maybe 2 significant snowstorms in a season like this, and this is one of them.
We did touch on this already, but we will touch on it because it is important to talk about. There is the potential for a flash freeze behind this system over on the east side of the state. With the very cold temps that'll be pouring in behind this, all that rain and snow will freeze very, very quickly. This is something that we will be monitoring to make sure if it does happen, we let everybody know. But that is a real possibility over the next kind of 48 hours or so.
Yeah, that's a good point. This isn't going to be a freezing rain situation, but it is going to be a flash freeze situation where any of the rain that does fall, as Ryan showed you earlier with those really, really cold temperatures coming in Saturday into Sunday, you're looking at temperatures dropping from as that storm system moves up and out. Those temperatures will be dropping from the 30s with the rain. As that freezes and that low moves through, those temperatures will crash throughout the day on Saturday. And you may start out the day on Saturday with temps in the 30s, maybe even possibly briefly 40 in the far eastern side of the state near Detroit, with 30s elsewhere where heavy snow will be falling. But as that system then moves northeast into the thumb and eventually peels out, that really, really cold air out west will funnel in pretty rapidly, given the strong west, northwest, and eventually northwest winds. And that's also the concern that will freeze up any of the standing water that's in place. So very icy roads are possible where it does change over to rain. And then it also is a big factor in potential lake effect behind it as well. And some of that lake effect, depending on how strong the winds are Saturday into Sunday, could reach even the east side of the state that normally doesn't see lake effect snow.
Also, bringing the model back up here, we see temperatures, if you can really make it out here, I'm seeing 40, 38, 37 in southeast Michigan here. This is at 9 p.m. tomorrow evening. So this is going to be about the time we're going to start seeing that change over to rain. But notice back here to the west, we have temperatures here 20, 24, 25, 27, 30. That air is going to rush in behind these temperatures that are quite mild, 40-degree temperatures here. And that's what's going to cause that freezing. It rushes in so quickly. The sharp drop in temperature is what we're really concerned about with that. And just give you the visual representation of this. This is all your cold air back here going to fill into southeast Michigan after this warm air moves out.
Ryan, do you want to throw the time picture back up there for us just so we can hit that again for maybe some of those who haven't seen it yet? 10 to 12, as you can see on the southwestern portion of the lower peninsula, that's when we expect the snow to start. And then as the day goes on, you'll continue to see that system progress through the state. You can see it up in the UP as well, 10 to 11 for the majority of it, and 9 to 11 for the west side of the state. So wherever you live in that area there, you can see the corresponding times for that.
Tina, that will likely happen right around, I'm going to say right around midnight. The rain will creep in probably roughly between 10 p.m. and midnight, and then after midnight, the temperatures will drop pretty rapidly.
Go ahead.
Those temperatures don't include the wind chills. That is not, no. Nicole asks, is this going to be a dry or a wet kind of snow? The answer to that would be, starting off, it'll be wetter across the state, but as we get closer to the evening time frame, that snow will start to become more dry, and it'll blow more easily as well. So it starts wet and then ends dry.
Winds are expected to be in that 20 to 30 mile an hour sustained range, but we will be seeing gusts in the 40s and 50 miles an hour. There's our wind map there going off of the HRRR model. So we can see as the storm kind of begins, we've got 35 to 40 knot gusts there. So what that means is give or take about 5 miles per hour more. So 45 to 40 mile an hour gusts. And then as the day progresses a little bit further into Saturday, thank you. We can see a little bit of those higher wind gusts coming in through the southern portion of the state.
And winds do pick up here Friday right around that 1 p.m. time frame. And that's going to correlate very well with the heaviest bands of snow here in the state, which is going to cause those whiteout, zero visibility, and blizzard-like conditions as well. And that wind does stick around. It'll change direction a few times throughout the weekend, but it will stick around quite heavily here throughout the weekend.
And another thing with traveling, especially on Friday night into Saturday, with the wind, you're going to have drifts, especially in rural areas where there's open fields that could be maybe 2 to 3 feet high at times. So even when even when it's not snowing per se, those drifts will be brutal out there. And you never know if you have like a low lying car, like especially a car with 2-wheel drive that's really low to the ground. You run into one of those 2 feet drifts, you're instantly stuck and you can't do much about it. So again, can't stress this enough. Make sure you have enough gas in your car and just ways to stay in contact if you do go out on Friday night into Saturday.
If you don't have to go out, please do not go out. This is
Correct.
a situation that you do not want to be in. Only travel if you have to.
This is a big comment, but it's a good one. Safety info: don't drive unless absolutely necessary. If you get stuck somewhere, do not leave your car running. Continually crack a window for oxygen to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning, and bring a flashlight, food, water, waste to keep warm on your drive. Leave the car dome light on at night. Those are all very good tips. If you do get stuck while you're out driving, again, we don't recommend any sort of driving in this system here. Make sure that if you do lose power as well, when it's safe to go outside, do so. Check on your neighbors. Make sure to leave your generators at least 20 feet away from your house to avoid any poisoning there as well. And be careful when you're shoveling the snow, as you can, overexert yourself with a wet, heavy snow like this. So just be careful when you're doing all of those things as well.
Here's another good question. It'll drift when it's heavy, wet snow. With the wind speeds, it's definitely possible still, especially in the overnight time where the snow becomes lighter, as in like finer.
Yeah, the winds will pick up as the low approaches the area, so that would make sense at the same time that you'll get more drifting as the low moves up towards Saginaw. For those who weren't on the stream last night, we kind of talked about that a little bit with the isobars. When they're closer together, that's when you get stronger winds. And usually where they're the closest together, you'll see that right around the low. Ryan's pulling it up right now.
Yeah, their low is going to be right over here, just north of Grand Rapids here towards Mount Pleasant. And these black lines around that low are your wind direction, but also the tighter those isobars are, the windier it is. So,
especially if you look right now, you can see right there in northern Michigan, those are really close together.
Yeah, even here in southern Michigan, it's pretty close as well.
Another comment here: do these projected totals include lake effect? No, they do not. We will be putting out a separate graphic for that as the system progresses, with a very warm Lake Michigan yet and a very cold air mass coming in. The lake effect will be ripping and roaring. There is the potential to see substantial more amount of snow over the coming 36 hours after this system and into next week. But we will discuss more of that once the main storm itself goes through.
Yeah, let's get through. Go ahead, Joel.
Oh, that was me. Sorry. No, I was going to say, I saw another comment as well, wondering if the time frame for when the storm will exit. Yeah, there will be basically a pretty decent transition right to lake effects with the cold air moving through. But in terms of when the system does exit, it'll generally be between, at the earliest, probably about 7 in the morning for the west side of the state to about 10 a.m. on the east side of the state, generally speaking, is when this storm will start to peel away. We have a start time of the snow, but that's when the general storm system will move out on Saturday between 7 and 10 in the morning. But again, the problem is that system, as that continues to move northeast, it'll deepen out to about 970 millibars, like we said. But as that system deepens north of Lake Huron into Ontario and Canada, it will start to slow down. If you look at a bigger map, there's actually an area of high pressure out ahead of the system up in near Hudson Bay that will tend to slow the system down and kind of have it hang around, which is why we are concerned about lake effect. for a couple days behind it, because that general what we call cyclonic flow around the area of low pressure, will continue to funnel in winds out of the west northwest to northwest and funnel those lake effect bands for the next few days after.
All right, guys, I got to jump off here. I got some stuff to do yet tonight. Appreciate everyone tuning in. The rest of the guys are going to keep holding the fort down for us here. But I just wanted to say thank you all for being here. We do appreciate it. And I can promise you we will still have you covered beginning to end with this storm. So we'll see y'all later.
See you, Chan.
Thanks, Chandler. See ya.
Yep.
Had a question here from, go back up here. Got to find it again. Right here. You want to know exactly when the Arctic air is going to arrive. And if we take a look at the model here and run it through the weekend, the majority of this Arctic air is going to enter the area after the system moves out. And that's going to be right around the Saturday night into Sunday time frame. Especially Sunday night, we start seeing these temperatures that are going to flirt with single digits closer to zero as well. So the Arctic blast, I guess you can call it, is going to start primarily Sunday evening.
Yeah, and look at that map that Ryan has up there. If you freeze it, go back a little bit and freeze it there. Just freeze it there, and I want to take a moment to look at how lucky we are for Lake Michigan. As much as it gives us lake effect snow, you see those temperatures on the other side of the lake in Wisconsin, Northern Illinois, Iowa, Minnesota. Those are forecasted air temperatures, surface air temperatures in the negative teens to near negative 20. That's not including wind chills, and winds are going to be still pretty elevated through Sunday into Monday. So you're looking at wind chills potentially of minus 25 to minus 30, minus 35 in spots on the other side of the lake. That is just absolutely brutally cold temperatures to be in, even without snow.
Couple more comments on the type of snow that we kind of covered already, but in case you guys are just tuning in, the snow will start as wet with the temperatures being a little bit warmer, and then as we get into Saturday morning, overnight Friday night into Saturday morning, temperatures will drop off, especially with the chance for a flash freeze in extreme southern Michigan, and so that snow will start to become more fine, and it will blow around with winds increasing overnight into Saturday morning.
Chance of it raining in southwest Michigan. Alex.
So as we said earlier, right now the general track is pretty much set. There is a outside chance that the rain, if it does shift a little bit further west, again, that would be that kind of Three Rivers to Ionia to Mount Pleasant line. Is still possible, not the likeliest scenario right now, but still possible if it takes that more western track. That rain could move in as far west as Battle Creek and Lansing. However, that is not the likeliest scenario, as we have been seeing later this afternoon. Forecast models have generally been shifting slightly east, if anything. That's been the trend today. And looking, while we've been talking here, I've been looking at our latest models that are actually coming out right now. The European model that just came out a few minutes ago actually kind of shifted slightly east as well by a few miles. So it is not likely that rain will make it that far west in the state. I would say along and west of US 127, along and west of a probably Coldwater to Lansing to Midland, Saginaw area along and west is pretty much guaranteed all snow at this point. Basically along and west of where that white circle that we have there is guaranteed all snow with this system at this point. That's how it's just generally looking. Again, That is the most likely scenario right now. In that circle that we have the lowest totals in southeast Michigan is where that brief rain will mix in. But I want to stress, too, even where we're expecting rain, over
Oh
at
no.
And he's back.
There it
the,
is.
the changeover from rain to snow and that potential flash freeze.
Jill, this is not going to compare to 78 or 67. This low pressure is much weaker. It's still very strong. Don't get us wrong. This is a very strong system, but in comparison to either one of those, it's quite weaker.
And that just tells you how strong that the blizzard of 67, blizzard of 78 was. When we say much, 20 millibars weaker, that was a powerhouse of a storm system that we saw during that event. And, we've had some blizzards in the past that this may compare to. I saw in some of the comments, blizzard in 2007, the mid 2000s, the Groundhog's Day blizzard of 2011 is a good comparison. If you guys remember the Groundhog's Day of 2011 blizzard, this would be a decent comparison.
I see some comments here about traveling from area to area. You should be good tomorrow morning. You should be good early parts of the morning, but as we get closer to that noon time frame, and especially early afternoon, that is when we would advise you to get home and stay off the roads, especially late afternoon. By late afternoon, the snow should be pretty heavy. So if you have to be out and about tomorrow and you can get home, you can kind of control what you're doing, get home by around 12 p.m., 1 p.m., and then stay home. Tomorrow is going to be a case of if you're traveling anywhere in the state, it's better off the earlier you get it done.
And I know some people are already asking about when the roads are supposed to clear up. I saw a couple comments just like a minute ago about that, especially back roads, and especially like northern Michigan, for example, where a lot of places are going to remain unplowed, especially those backcountry roads. I imagine through the entire day on Saturday, it'll be hard to get anywhere. So at the earliest, we could say safely probably Sunday morning. And that's especially for your nicer roads like the freeways and stuff like that. So just kind of gauge it by ear. But if you want to play it safe, definitely Sunday morning at the earliest would be a good time to maybe try and get back out there. But again, lake effect snow does start on Sunday right after this storm finishes up. So we will still be having accumulating snow, especially for the lakeshore counties in West Michigan and Northern Michigan and in the UP starting Sunday morning. And those amounts we'll have out coming weekend. So it'd probably be mid-storm and near the end of the storm. So you guys won't miss out on the coverage, but we'll let you know at that point.
The highest chance for power outages is likely going to be statewide, but if I had to guess, in the 8 to 14 zone. And then I'd say a secondary area there in southeast Michigan, especially if we can get a flash freeze going on with the winds and stuff like that. Those are my two main areas of concern. It's a statewide concern, but number one, where heavy snow can weigh down trees and power lines, and also in that flash freeze zone there, especially as that low moves off, we're going to have some enhanced winds there for a brief period of time that could knock some power out. But again, it is a statewide threat. So just because I didn't mention your area, or you're in a 6 to 10 or 5 to 10 area there, it's a statewide threat.
And with the flat surfaces on the lake, especially if you live like right immediately along the lake, you get some even stronger wind gusts with those gales.
Again, if you're going to ask for a specific location and accumulations, go ahead and look at the map that we have on your screen here. If you don't know where you are in this map, we can answer that for you. Just let us know. A good way to know where you're at in this map is go to your phone. If you don't already, download Google Maps, and then there's going to be a button on that Google Maps the interface there. It's going to be like a little location, like a little bullseye button. If you click that, it'll tell you exactly where you're at in Michigan. You kind of zoom out there, and it'll tell you where you're at. You can kind of compare the state to our map here. Billy, we do not cover Illinois. We are Michigan Storm Chasers. We are not Illinois Storm Chasers. There is an Illinois Storm Chaser page. If you're interested, they've been keeping up to date with this system as well. So if you are in Illinois, I'd suggest going over to Illinois Storm Chasers page and check those guys out. What's thunder snow? Joel, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer that?
That's basically areas of convection within like bright banding of like snow belts. It's like where you get like really, really intense snow coming together, and a little bit of instability. Sometimes you can get, well, on top of that, you also need like some tall objects. So like out here in Mount Pleasant, we have those windmills northeast of town. And when you have some of those borderline very heavy convective bands with those tall metal objects, you know, they could get some static. I don't know how to really explain it, but some static sparks going. And yeah, so you want to explain it more or not?
No, I think you did pretty well. It's basically what Joel said. It's basically where you get those taller updrafts. You get elevated instability in the atmosphere, and it's kind of like a rain shower, but it's snow. The temperatures are cold enough for snow. What's up with the NOAA blended models? We do not use the blended model. We just put that out there. We don't use that. We look at all the models. We take into consideration everything. We don't use 1, 2, 3 models. We look at everything, but we don't go off of the blended model. I know a few people here in Michigan who forecast do use that, and in our honest opinion, it's misleading at times.
See a question as to why there are no wind advisories.
That is a great question. Not sure exactly what's going on with the local weather services, although they do mention high winds in the winter storm watches, warnings, and advisories. That does cover, and they're also likely probably going to issue some blizzard warnings as well, which does include wind. But this wind is advisory level. So just because there's no advisories or high wind warnings does not mean it's not going to be windy. The winds are going to be quite potent with this system. Brittany, Alex was looking at that model, but we have not seen that model yet. We'll probably look at all the data coming in here. We're getting close to the release of a few what we call high resolution models in the next hour or two. We'll look at that and go over the data with that. And we'll have an update for you tomorrow morning. Again, we will be live throughout the day tomorrow. I'll probably be live tomorrow morning for updates, and then we'll probably go live throughout the course of the afternoon and evening. So if you are interested in watching some coverage, we will be here streaming.
A little note of, I guess, housekeeping here. If you guys ever want to measure snow, there's a way you can properly do it is by getting like a nice flat white board. Make sure you clear off your grass, of course, first to make a nice clear spot. And then you just put it right down, and then you put a stick on usually each side of the board to make sure you know where it's at when it does get buried. You can even put a ruler out there. Otherwise, you can just bring it out whenever you go out to measure. So I think, Nick, you said you're going to do that soon.
I was thinking about it, yeah.
I believe Drew, one of our partner chasers, is actually creating snowboards.
Nice.
So I will put one out personally here in Southeast Michigan. I'm not really expecting much where I'm at, but I'll put it out. Nick will put one out, and we'll see what we get. And again, if you guys do have reports, pictures, videos tomorrow, snowfall reports, road conditions, we will be having multiple updates on the page. And if you guys do have those reports, pictures, videos, questions, anything, go ahead, feel free to comment, message the page, or you can also email pictures and videos, preferably email, to our Gmail account, which is mistormchasers@gmail.com.
I'll also say later tonight, I plan on releasing a detailed look. I kind of broke down every single winter storm warning, because I don't know if you guys realize, for those who are watching, that each National Weather Service office, it's not like when you see all those, like Ryan has in the stream here, all those blue boxes, they're actually separated into chunks depending on like how much is going to be like falling. and how big the wind speeds are. So, like for example, in Grand Rapids, there's 4 counties in the Lansing area that have 5 to 9 under a winter storm warning, and then everywhere else has like the 8 to 14. I almost said 18, 8 to 14 range. And so I'm basically breaking up all those winter storm warnings and making them individual graphics, and I'll be releasing those later tonight after the stream's over with. And then if anyone's interested, I could also do like a highway, like a travel thing. So like between, for example, Grand Rapids to Lansing, and then like make like a timeline of when the best time to go and best time not to go is tomorrow. And if anyone like wants me to do that, I guess just like leave a like or a comment right now, and I can see if there's interest and go from there.
The chances of thundersnow tomorrow are not 0, but quite low. It wouldn't shock us to see 1 or 2 strikes in the state, but it's not something that we're expecting at all.
Yeah, I know some people are already requesting. I'll probably do like the major highways and the semi-major highways, so like US 131 and 127, and of course all the interstates like 94, 96, 69, 75, of course. But I'll try and keep it like broad, so like I'll go like major cities.
Guys,
I was gonna say, Ryan, you could probably throw up that timing map too, just to give them like a broad sense.
there you go.
And that's when the snow will start. Not the heaviest, but just snow in general. As you can see on the graphic.
Ricky asks what the chance of the rain missing Michigan is. I think the rain's going to mix in. It's just going to be a matter of how far west does it mix in. So if we look back at our model, we kind of see, let's go back to the GFS model. That has a better handle on what we're kind of thinking. If we look at the snow and rain here, we look at this area of rain right there. This is going to be 10 p.m. tomorrow evening. We see this area here. It's very briefly mixing in because by the next 3-hour chunk of block here that loads on the model, that rain has gone back to snow. So it's about a 3-hour period that Southeast Michigan is going to see that rain. But how far west that gets is going to be the question, or how far east, really. I think some further shifting is likely with that, but the chance overall of it missing, I don't think it's going to miss. So Cheryl, good question here. She asks if the Great Lakes having no ice is making the storm worse or more or less worse. And I'm going to answer this in there's a couple ways this can go. I'm going to focus on this way in particular, and that is warm lake waters actually create a good environment for lake effect snow. With this particular system, the warm lake water temperatures don't really have an effect on everything here, but there is lake enhancement that can happen closer to lakes, which could increase snowfall. But there's also lake effect probabilities. When you have the warm lake waters, the cold air mix with the favorable winds, you're going to have lake effect snow. So the lakes being warm right now will likely cause significant lake effect snow after this event.
Joel, your keyboard is loud.
I'm trying to type as quiet as possible. Okay.
It's not working.
Okay, well, it's a gaming keyboard, so it's supposed to be loud, I guess.
I know mine is too. It's bad.
Do we have a generator so the stream will keep going if the power goes out?
I don't.
It's web-based, so it will, no matter what. If there's no one in here, it'll still be going. It'll just be like a blank screen.
I have a generator. I can probably run Wi-Fi if I have to. I'm not sure if internet goes down, then we're kind of screwed in that point. But there's also the possibility of mobile data we could use as well. So we'll do our best. The page will be updated, but if we all lose power here, the live might go down. We'll have to kind of play that by ear if that happens.
Pretty low chance of all of us losing power
Yeah, I would agree.
with how spread out we are.
Hello, Lisa from Mount Pleasant.
What's the percentage of power outage probability with the system? I don't know how we would give a power outage percentage.
It's not going to be a widespread issue, I don't think. And what I mean by widespread is, I don't know. If you think back to the ice storm back in February for South Michigan, there was about 700,000 people across southern Michigan that lost power. I don't think it's going to be anything like that situation.
No.
I would expect the majority of the outages, I'm going to say less than 100,000 people in Michigan, maybe give or take. I don't like making predictions like that just because I'm not exactly sure what's all going to happen. But it's not going to be a widespread basis. Be more scattered to isolated in nature, I would assume. But the chance is there. Tina asked when the stream will begin tomorrow. So I'll likely be live. I'm not sure if Joel or Nick or anybody else is going to join, but I'll likely be live in the morning, probably right around 9 to 10 a.m. ish. We'll go over, well, probably it might be closer to noon, just give some time for new models to come out as well. But by that time frame, we should be getting live here. So I'm going to stay between 10 and 12 tomorrow morning. And then we'll probably take a break, probably hop off, and then we'll probably pick back up in the afternoon when things start to ramp up. So we'll likely have 2 live streams tomorrow. The first one will be in the morning for an update, and then the second will be later on when things are actually happening. Hello, Jackie from Belleville. Lisa asked if the storm will be over by Saturday afternoon. Depends on where you're at. Saturday afternoon will be likely improving conditions, although if you are in West Michigan, west of US 131, and the UP of Michigan, this is going to likely linger into Saturday, Sunday, and potentially even Monday with lake effect snow. If you're on the east side of Michigan, if you know where I-69 is or US 127, if you are east of those highways, like east of Lansing, basically, you are likely going to be improving Saturday afternoon. It's going to depend on where exactly you're going to be at. And there are, I believe, I see a question in here or a comment about school closings. I believe that Kalamazoo and Portage schools and the west side have already closed. I'm assuming a lot of schools are going to start closing relatively soon this evening, or if not tomorrow morning, they'll likely get.
I was to say a lot of those schools are closed already, especially the high schools and even colleges. I know GV is going online tomorrow. Me here at Central, the whole campus is shut down. There's nothing going on here tomorrow. So, and rightfully so, we're in the 8 to 14 zone.
Yeah, GRCC is also, I think, canceled classes for tomorrow.
Makes sense. It's commuting college.
Yeah.
Commute.
Nice to see you back, bruh. So he asked a question here. Says most of the thumb is still under the winter storm watch for 4 to 7. Pretty sure that's because of uncertainty. That is correct. We're still, not we, but the National Weather Service. If we go back here to the, take your comment off the screen first. Go back here to the current watch advisory and warning map. We see this area in southeast Michigan in this off-color blue here. That is your winter storm watch. Detroit did not issue winter storm warnings like Grand Rapids and the Gaylord and the Northern Indiana office did. They're waiting to see exactly where that low tracks, because as we've talked about, the low is shifting back further to the east, which could increase confidence in higher snow totals further east. So they're just kind of waiting right now. That blue, the setup here that you see that with the difference between the blue colors here, that line basically from about Marshall all the way up to Bay City and then points west are going to be most likely all snow. And then areas east right now, that's kind of where that rain snow line, where that rain could potentially mix in, cutting down on totals. So if that low pressure moves further east, that is going to shift the entire line further east. And that's why you have the winter storm watch still in effect. And there's still some uncertainty there. Also, if you're up in the thumb, the latest models, I will go ahead and say the latest models for the tip of the thumb there, from Bad Axe down here to Juanita, Burnside, Millington, you guys are in an area on the models of 4 to 8+ inches. So it's going to be borderline criteria for winter storm warning for you guys. But definitely pay attention. These warnings these watches may turn the warnings here potentially in the next hour or two, because the NWS offices do update around 9 p.m. So we may have further updates for you closer to 9 p.m.
And as we covered like really early on in the stream, again, the reason why they have those watches still in effect is because they're still uncertain on what they want to cover in the warnings and what warnings to use or advisories.
Hello, Rebecca from the city of Colon. Cheryl asked where we're from. I am from Southeast Michigan in Lenawee County.
I'm from Muskegon County.
I'm from Lowell, but I'm up here at in Mount Pleasant right now at Central Michigan Fire Up.
And then we also have Chandler down close to the Niles area. And then we also have Alex near Kalamazoo. Coleman schools have already canceled. Portland and Ionia counties already closed. Owasso just closed. All right, we're getting a lot of closings across the state. Not surprised by that. That was to be expected, honestly.
We're not the school closing stream. That's usually covered by Blake Harms over at Wood TBA. For those who are not familiar that live on the east side of the state, he's kind of the big snow day guy over here.
You might remember him from his time working in Lansing.
Correct. Appreciate your time and work you fellas do winter, spring, summer, and fall. Yep. It's been quite the year so far. And that could go for all of 2023 or just 2024.
What wind chills are expected during the storm Friday through Saturday? Do we have anything, a map of that? Or a model?
What was that, Nick? I was...
What are the wind chills expecting to be Friday and Saturday?
Yeah, give me 1 second here, okay?
Yeah.
Go ahead and keep answering questions. When I pull up something, I can look at wind chills.
We have a shout out to Stemp and Sean, Chandler's managers. Thank you for watching tonight.
Salute. Let's go ahead and do the GFS and see if we can get wind chills on this.
Can we see that time and when the snow is arriving map again? Whenever you get the chance.
Hey, there it is.
There
we
we
go, Ryan. How high could the winds get in this system? We're seeing wind gusts of up to 50 miles an hour or more.
There we go. Here's your wind chill map from the GFS model. So let's go ahead and start. Let's go ahead and do the overnights. All right. No, what's the question specific for a time?
It just said from Friday to Saturday. What are the wind chills expected?
Friday morning, I'm seeing right around 20 degrees. If you're in the UP, closer to 10. Move this through into Saturday. Seeing single digits here, 5, 10-ish, and then up in the UP closer to 0. And then move into Saturday evening into the Sunday. That's where the Arctic air comes in. This is going to be your wind chills that I'm quite concerned about here. Looking at these wind chills, thank you, Lake Michigan. Although there's a period here in South Michigan, we can see -20, -17. This is cold air. If we look to the west here in Iowa, Wisconsin, we're seeing -30s, closer to -40.
And schools usually cancel for, I think, -15 or -20 below wind chills too. So I could see some school closings next week for just the wind chill alone, if not lake effect snow that's already building up on top of that.
Yeah, and this cold lasts quite a long time. Like this model goes out 10 days, and I'm still seeing below 0 wind chills on this. Not to say it's accurate that far out. Typically, it's accurate more so about 150 hours out, which is right around that 7-day period. But just goes to show you, the snow that's going to fall from this system is going to be on the ground for quite some time. Hello from Adrian, Michigan.
Brandy says they're ready at DTE. Glad to hear.
Thank you for your dedication and hard work. I know you're probably going to be really busy next couple of days. Can this storm get a lot worse? Not sure if it's like a tornado, say, and get stronger as it comes. No, the storm is going to be, it's strong. It's very strong, but it's not going to undergo rapid strengthening as what we're expecting. We're expecting quite a strong storm, but it's not going to get any stronger, if that makes sense. It's going to stay pretty much on track and on forecast.
Now, Ryan, there is a site I was looking up earlier today that I looked up just now. From the Weather Prediction Center, you could pull up their NECP maps, like their probability of snow accumulating greater than like 1 or 2 or 4 inches, for example.
Let's see if I can pull it up here.
It's just another reference that we could use to see how much snow like the probabilities of that amount of snow falling.
I'm on the site. Just got to try and find it here. Is it under model guidance or observations?
It should be wpc.necp.noaa.gov/PWPF.
PWPF. All right, let me get this
Yep.
out here.
Joel, you're fading away.
Yeah, I know. I get further away from the light.
I saw, while you're looking that up real quick, I saw a question. Could snow totals possibly be higher? That all depends on where the lake effect bands set in on Saturday and Sunday.
I actually think Storm Prediction Center has us in the general thunder for southern Michigan for tomorrow. See if I can find that.
Could the storm impact flights tomorrow afternoon leaving from Grand Rapids? Yes, it can. We are expecting a lot of flight cancellations or delays going out of the Grand Rapids regional with very low visibility. It's going to be hard to take off or land.
All right, so this is a model or a forecast guidance that the NWS uses. Is it a blend of models, Joel? Do you know by chance, or is it just? I'm not sure what exactly this is based off of, but this is basically your percentage of how much snow is going to fall. You see the bar over here on the left, bottom left of your screen. The reds are the higher percentage, and then the yellows and greens and blues are a little bit lower percentage. This is your accumulation map of 4 inches or higher of accumulation. You see up here in northern Michigan, you still see that almost 95+% of 4+ inches. We go ahead and click the 6 inches. We're still going to see red up there in northern Michigan and a little bit lower here in southern Michigan. We go ahead and click 8+ inches, and we still see quite a significant chance here. The blue is indicating over 50% chance of seeing 8 or more inches, and then the greens are about 30%. We go over a foot of snow, that's going to drop off dramatically, but still up here in the northern part of Michigan, and even over here towards Wisconsin, I guess in parts of southern UP there's still quite a good chance, 70% chance towards Alpena of 12 inches of snow or more. And again, this is only through a certain period here. If we go ahead and run this back here, I'm not sure there's a way to do this where it's an entire period or is it just 24 hours, but it goes to show you though that the snow is going to be quite significant across the state. This is the map of 2+ inches of snow you can see here.
So pretty much everyone but Monroe County there.
Sorry, Monroe County and parts of
Yeah.
Illinois here. Yeah, if you're closer to the Canadian border there, you're kind of in trouble if you like snow. But that's that model. Need to learn how to use this better. It's my first time on this site, so.
Yeah. And I saw the greater than 12 one for sure. I was looking at the models earlier today, and a lot of them were actually in agreement, especially if you live in northeast lower peninsula, especially up near the Alpena area. There was a lot of models that were coming together to say greater than maybe 12 to 14 inches, perhaps closer to 18 inches in accumulation, especially up there in the Huron Forest. So definitely I would advise against traveling, especially in northeast. I know obviously statewide tomorrow, but especially in northeast lower Michigan.
Not going to be surprised if we get the 18 inches there just because of the model guidance, but that's going to be insane if they get that. It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And again, we'll update our snowfall graphic as need be by tomorrow morning. But as of right now, most of the state, kind of north of Grand Rapids, north of the Tri-Cities area, 8 to 14 range is a safe, conservative, I guess you could say conservative outlook for how much we're expecting.
I saw a question earlier asking how precise we can predict lake effect bands.
So with global models, say like the GFS and the Euro, they're good for overall synoptic system snow, like we're looking at here. If we go back here to the model, I'll show you a little bit difference, a little bit of difference here. This is the GFS model. You see, if we were to zoom in here, this banding here is not very exact. It just shows snow probability. But if you go to the HRRR model, more like short-term model, which actually is loading up now, so we'll have some new data here shortly. If we go back here to this afternoon's run, and then we go back to precip product, you're going to see banding, what we call lake effect banding. That's going to be more precise, and that allows us to have a better idea. Right here, you see, if you zoom in, see if I can zoom in and give you a better look here. We can, sweet. So if you look at this closely, we start seeing these heavier bands here. There's one here in Grand Rapids area. There's one up here towards Traverse City. And that's going to be where these heavier bands are going to set up. That's what the specifics that we can't look at on the GFS and European models that we can look at on short-term models. We can accurately get lake effect snow forecasted right around 36 hours in advance and make fine-tune adjustments. But it's very, very heavily dependent on the wind direction, especially because a shift in wind direction, a very minor shift, can shift the snow band 5-10 miles. And it could be the difference between, say, Grand Rapids getting a foot of snow. And then if you go south, say, to like the Wayland area, which is about 20 miles south of Grand Rapids, you could get nothing. So lake effect is kind of fickle, but it's easily predicted within about 36 hours.
I have witnessed that before. Heavy
Yeah.
snowfall and then nothing.
Yep. Nick is right there in Lake Effect Wonderland, so he knows.
You know, I've always experienced it just going right around me, though. I'm sure a lot of people in West Michigan can say that, though, except for Allegan County. Allegan County always gets it.
Yeah, I can vouch for that, actually. Watching radar last year, this year we had that fire hose, we called it, of Lake Effect snow that happened.
Yeah, that one shot almost all the way across the state.
Yeah, it did. If you guys haven't already, hit that like button. We'd appreciate that. It helps us out, boosts the algorithm in our favor. We would appreciate it.
Here's
We're
a
gonna
question.
go for it.
Doesn't lake effect always hit the same spots? I just assumed it does from living in the UP. It all depends on the direction of the wind coming off the lake, and at least that's my understanding of it.
Yes.
And the strength of the wind, depending on how
Yeah.
far inland it gets. Plus the water temperatures help strengthen it too. So like if you have like a 60-degree lake versus like a 40-degree lake, obviously 60-degree lake, you're going to have probably 2-inch per hour rates. But obviously lake temperatures right now are in the low 40s.
And also, going back to that question about how well can we predict lake effect snow, we can get an idea looking at global models like GFS. We can't get specifics, but we can get a general idea looking at wind direction, water temperatures, and stuff like that. When we have prolonged west or northwest winds, that is a big signal with warm lake temperatures that could really get lake effect going, which we're going to have this weekend. We see quite a prolonged period of northwest winds. So that's why we kind of been mentioning lake effect. We're not getting specific just yet until we get better model guidance, which there is a new model coming out right now we can look at together if you'd like. Gives us an idea. Not expecting much in the way of any changes here, but if you guys want to stick around and check out new data as we do, we can do that with you to get a little bit of a live analysis. It's a model 00Z party.
Liz is asking how many inches of rain is Southeast Michigan going to get?
It's not going to accumulate much at all. It's going to be very brief, about 2 hours worth. I'd be shocked to see anything over a 1/4 inch. It's probably going to be closer to 1/10 of an inch, if that. Not going to be much at all. go back here while we wait for this to load up. We'll go back here to our map for those of you who are just joining. If you guys have questions, again, if you want to know specific snowfall accumulations for your area, look at our map first before you ask that question. If you don't know where you're at in the map, just let us know and we'll help you out there. But otherwise, before you ask specific areas, we're going to tell you what's on the map here. So you're not going to get a different answer.
Yeah, like Spencer says, what are chances that 8+ will push south closer to Lansing? If you do look at the graphic there, Lansing is in the 5 to 10, so that is 8 inches at least. That's on the table for sure. So just because you don't see 8 on your total, it's in there. It's in between 5 and 10. So take note of that.
And also, if this track shifts further east, you may get closer to 8 to 14, so you might be on the higher end of the 5 to 10 there as well. Keep that in mind. But again, a further shift west will put you closer to 3 to 6, so it can go either way there. Lansing's kind of in that middle zone.
And along with liking the stream, you guys, if you want to share the stream, we'll probably be on here for a little bit longer. So if you know any friends that might want to watch and ask questions, feel free to do that.
Cheryl's asking what the circle means in Southeast Michigan. And that's just an area of brief rain mix that we are highlighting.
Yep, correlating well with the less accumulation amounts there as well. See a question or a statement. Hockey tournament in Alpena Saturday not being canceled. You're saying it's going to be untravelable. Excuse me. It's a possibility up there in rural areas. Saturday, you likely will have main roads start getting cleared off, but country roads will likely remain impassable given the blowing and drifting snow there. Because winds aren't going to die down very quickly. They're going to be prolonged. So blowing and drifting snow will likely occur well into Saturday. So not going to say completely untravelable, but it'll make it quite difficult Saturday morning, especially.
And I was going to put in a reference. One of my friends said that my high school, where I went to high school in Lowell, they have a wrestling tournament down at DCC, which is in Detroit, which is in the lesser amount of range. But again, they have to travel from Lowell out of that zone, and they already canceled the tournament for tomorrow. So even in these 1 to 3 zones, 3 to 6 zones, you're already seeing places canceling their sporting events. So the fact that Alpena is not canceling a sporting event in the 8 to 14, perhaps 14 to 18 zone, I mean, judgment call for everyone. So if you think if it's unsafe, I definitely would probably stay home.
Get the snowmobiles out.
Or that, yeah.
Debbie asked, what time is expected to start? The map on your screen is the expected timing. Depending on where you're at in the state, it's going to start soonest in South and West Michigan as early as 9, 10 a.m. And if you're up towards the Petoskey, Alpena, Traverse City area, closer to the 2 to 4 area, again, the heaviest snow is going to hold off until Friday afternoon, probably after that 2 p.m., closer to 4 p.m. time frame. But your first flakes, this map is going to basically depend on the first flakes. It's not for the heaviest snow.
Renee, the Middleville is in that 8 to 14 inch area.
Preston asked, is the track trending more east than west? So last night, I posted a late night crew. Some of us do post that when we're up kind of late working. I mentioned in that group or in that chat or the comment section that the Euro kind of shifted further west. And then that was the only model that shifted west. Everything else today has been trending east. So the trend today is east.
Yes, all those times are in Eastern Standard. I know it's hard to forget sometimes, but those counties, the ones that border Wisconsin, just that single row is all in Central Time. But yes, all of these are in Eastern Time.
Is that Gogabec County that
yeah,
is in the Central Time Zone?
Yep. Along with Iron, Dickinson, and Menominee. Those are all Central Time Zone.
Really?
Kelsey asked if we're in for bad weather just for Friday, Saturday, or are we looking at bad weather all through the weekend? So depending on where you're at, Kelsey, West Side Michigan and UP, prepare for lake effect snow into Sunday. But again, if you're in the east side, expect improving conditions on Saturday afternoon or so. But again, be prepared Saturday night, especially into Sunday night, for the Arctic air. It's going to be very, very cold and quite windy with that as well. So it's going to be, I'm going to say, pretty bad weather, but Sunday's going to be the best day, more than likely, if you're on the east side of the state.
Ryan, I think they're making fun of you for the mispronunciation of the first county. Gogabik.
Gogabek or Gojibek?
Oh boy, I don't know.
It's Gogabek.
Where's our Upers at?
The name looks French to me, so it's Gogabek.
All right, we got some new model data coming out. Not fully loaded yet, but it's getting
Travel for the Lions game. Yeah, a lot of you guys are probably going to be going to that historic Lions game on Sunday. I would say if you can't get in early, I know some of you guys probably don't have the money to spend at a hotel 3 nights in a row. But either go early or maybe leave early Sunday, because roads will still not be probably 100% by then. Gogibik.
Gogabek?
Gogibik.
I think it's going to be a tomato situation here. You know what I mean?
Anything for Lambertville, Michigan, which is right out of Toledo? Yes. 1 to 3 inches. Expect it to start as snow, transitions to rain tomorrow night, back to snow overnight Friday into Saturday morning, ends with snow. Windy, potential whiteout conditions, deteriorating road conditions as soon as temperatures freeze back over. There's a period of time where temperatures rise above freezing, allows for rain to fall, and then temperatures drop back below freezing, and that'll freeze whatever's untreated with the rain there. Falling will make things quite slick. So yes, impacts for Lambertville definitely possible.
I'm being cheered on in the comments section. I was right.
I've said it both ways. I've heard it both ways.
Carrie says it's pronounced Go-Gib-ik.
I think the hyphen's supposed to be between the I and the B, but it should be Gogibik.
Gogibik.
And then Heather says Go-Gib-ik. We have everything in the chat tonight.
It's like it's either Mackinac or Mackinac. You know, that's going to make a lot of people mad too.
It's Mackinac. It's never been Mackinac.
Well, then why do they spell it 2 different ways?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Anyway.
See, now we're going to get everybody fired up.
Yep.
Are we expecting another system early next week? Sheila, that is unlikely right now. We're not really seeing much of anything, but we are seeing Arctic cold air. But no systems that we're watching at this point. That could change, but at this time, no.
Do you all have a site that you prefer for road conditions or accident mapping? I use just Google Maps. There's a traffic overlay in the layers on the map that you can put on, and that tells you current road speeds, like your major highways, and even on your back roads, like country roads. Also, they have ways of reporting accidents on there that people are usually pretty good at updating.
Yeah, and I usually cross-reference between Google Maps and Waze, which is another good one that people report with.
And I think they use each other to,
Yeah.
I think we have a tie between the best name here. I see Bruh and I see Old McDonald has a car.
That's awesome. Gotta love those YouTube names.
Oh, man. How big of drifts are expected in the 8 to 14 zone? That is a great question that I do not have specific answers for.
It all depends on the topography. And like it depends on how fields are next to roads. I mean, if you got a big ditch off of a farm field, that ditch is probably going to get covered in snow and then make its way across the roadway. In Muskegon County here, I've been stuck in 1.5 feet of snow drift last year, that Christmas blizzard, just off a farm field, and it was that you couldn't even see it was there.
Yeah, and especially like I know some roads cut into hills a little bit, so if you have a field where the road kind of cuts through a hill and like it's like elevated on both sides, remember if you have 50-mile-per-hour winds and there's snow that's just always accumulating for 24 hours straight. Just imagine like 24 hours straight of snow blowing into that crevice where the road's at. You could see 2 to 4 feet drifts at sometimes if people don't get out and clear it. So again, definitely stay off those back roads.
My main road coming out of town has that exact situation where it's like 5 to 6 feet above the road where the farm field ends, and it's just that's the last place snow melts because there's just so much snow packed into that area.
Mhm.
Do you think blizzard warnings will be issued Friday night, Saturday afternoon? I'm gonna say yes for some areas. I'm not gonna say widespread, but I do think we're gonna see some blizzard warnings here in the state tomorrow evening into Saturday morning.
And I was pointing this out in our group chat earlier. Marquette's wording made it seem like Gogebic. Yeah. Gogebic is the first county that's closest to getting issued in the blizzard warning, which is that far western county where Ironwood is located. So stay tuned for that. Once that one gets in the blizzard warning, I'm sure a lot more will follow. That's really interesting to me because of the criteria. It says sustained or frequent 35-mile-per-hour wind gusts resulting in a quarter-mile visibility. I think we're going to have that frequent portion of the definition for sure tomorrow. And
yeah, if we look at the HRRR model, let's go back to the 18Z. Let's look at how long these winds are sustaining themselves. Let's go back to the surface. Let's look at wind gusts. And again, these aren't even surface wind gusts either. These are 10-meter wind gusts. So these aren't particularly on the surface. They're just above the surface. So what's likely on the surface is going to be a little bit lower or higher. I'm going to guess higher with this. But these gusts here begin Friday afternoon, right around 40 miles per hour, 40, 45. Now, as long as Michigan's in purple there, you're basically in the blizzard criteria as long as snow is falling. We see this low pressure pass off. There's a little bit of a calm in the eye of the storm there, we call it, the low pressure. You can see it right here. But still on the top here, we have intense winds. And you have, again, these winds filling back in the southwest here. So no matter where you're at in Michigan, this is going into Friday into Saturday night, the winds are sustaining themselves pretty much for a 24-hour period almost between Friday about noon to about Saturday at noon. I don't see Michigan escaping this at all. So we're likely going to see widespread blizzard-like conditions.
The low center was 30 or 40 millibars lower. You could see another one of those Lake Huron hurricanes.
All right, let's look at the HRRR is
moving east, right?
I'm going to compare it to the last run. We're going to have to find out live model analysis here. So we see the percent of the low pressure transferred energy to the east. This is going to be at 6 p.m. tomorrow evening. Let's go ahead and go back to the last run, see where that low is. Yeah, about the same. Let's go ahead and do. Although I will say this, it is trending colder because you see these temperatures 34, 33 on the 18Z run, but the latest run here is now 33 around here. So it does bring in a few degree lower temperatures, which is good for snow. Let's go ahead and run this through, back through and see where it's loaded to. Yeah, it's a very, very brief period here in southeast Michigan that sneaks in just after the 9 p.m. time frame. This is likely going to be a little bit more of a snow solution on an HRRR. Still, we compare that to the last run. We see low pressure pretty much between Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids and Lansing. Go back one. It's about the same, but it is colder. We see 40, 37 to the east of that low pressure, but the latest run here is now trending colder. I see 34, 39. Still warm enough for rain, but it's trending colder, which is a good sign for snow. So pretty much unchanged so far with our thinking. It's trending just a tad bit colder, but otherwise we're still seeing that area here in the far Metro Detroit area of rain. This initial band of snow here in the afternoon looks very heavy. Latest guidance here is really picking this up right around 3 p.m. for Southwest Michigan, even over here towards Jackson and Ann Arbor, looking at some heavy snow. That's going to fill in pretty quickly there. It's kind of mixing in for a second, and then that rain kind of comes in for a few hours, and then we have that snow on the backside. Yeah, so we'll see how this looks here in a few more minutes, come back to it and go from there. But right now, pretty much unchanged for this afternoon's run of this model, but definitely is trending a little bit colder.
Someone was asking again about thunder snow chances. A very, very low chance, but not zero. I just looked at the Storm Prediction Center website and the model runs. There's a little bit of most unstable cape that is creeping up into southeast Michigan, so you could hear rumble thunder or two tomorrow. And again, southeast Michigan is under a general thunderstorm category for tomorrow, so you never know.
RS Tony asks, is there going to be a blizzard in southeast Michigan? The answer to that is going to be most likely no. But I will say with the falling snow, especially late Friday evening before it turns to rain and just after it turns back to snow after midnight, the winds are going to be gusting pretty heavily with snow falling and blowing. So there's likely going to be whiteout conditions, potentially near zero visibility at times, but I don't think it's going to meet blizzard criteria in southeast Michigan. This is going to be Friday and Saturday, Julie. Hillsdale is on that line of 5 to 10 and 3 to 6. We're splitting that county right now. I'm going to lean more towards a rain solution further east in Hillsdale and a snow solution further west. I will say this as well. We have 400 people here watching us. We're at 963 likes. Can we get to 1,000 likes? Can we get 37 more people? Hit that like button. I don't think we ever had a stream that hits 1,000 likes. So if we could be the first stream to do that, that'd be awesome. 976.
You don't have to. We're not. Yeah.
There we go. We hit
there
it.
We go.
Thanks, guys.
Woo!
You guys are awesome.
Thank you.
More importantly, if you have relatives that haven't watched the stream, make sure to share this with them because you never know if they have some questions that we may have not answered yet.
The thumb on the borderline of 8 to 14 and 5 to 10. Yes, the thumb especially is going to be 5 to 10. The 8 to 14 is going to be mainly to the west there of Bay City, closer towards Saginaw. If you're in the thumb especially, you're going to be closer to the 5 to 10. You're talking the tip of the thumb. If you're down toward Port Huron, it's going to be a little bit less.
Never mind the beer run. Do it now if you're thinking about drinking. Of course, many reports are saying the stores are packed right now, so
yes,
I would avoid the stores maybe until like the last second, or if you're getting like non-essential stuff, you could always just run like to the gas station or something. Those are usually probably less busy. I say beer is non-essential.
Makes you feel all warm and fuzzy though.
Yeah, we are all 21 and over here, so we can talk about this. Disclaimer.
Denise asks what time is going to hit Sturgis Colon area. She works tonight. You're going to be fine tonight. 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, it'll start snowing, and I think it really picks up early afternoon, probably 2 to 4 p.m. The heavy snow will start to fall, and that's going to work its way south to north.
Someone said DoorDash. Well, last year when we had that storm right around Christmas, I was actually home at the time. If there is a big enough winter storm event or just like severe weather event, these companies do actually shut down the drivers for the day. So don't rely on DoorDash to come during the storm. And why would you? It kind of puts them in a really bad and tough position. Although unless, it's your money, you can spend it however you want. And if you give them a big enough tip, then they'll definitely take it. So
yeah,
again,
definitely.
If it is closed, then you won't be able to do it at all.
Definitely tip your drivers, please. I know Joel works for DoorDash. I've worked for DoorDash before. Please tip your drivers, especially in snowstorms.
We appreciate it.
Not much for Dundee. That'd be right, Don. Although don't mistake the low accumulation of snow. There is still potential for blinding conditions from snow and wind. The winds are going to crank still for southeast Michigan there, even though you're going to get less snow. The impacts will be pretty significant.
My neighbors have already started the pre-blizzard partying. I don't know if you can hear that.
Barely.
Yeah. My whole floor is shaking.
I already heard my first snowmobile of the season. I think my neighbors just pulled theirs out. I've yet to pull mine out.
Seeing some more questions here as far as timing. So Holland's going to be in that 10 to 12 p.m. start time. Although the heaviest snow will probably hold off until probably after 2 to 3 p.m. for you guys. Do you think the Flint area will get upgraded to a warning? It's possible. Currently in a winter storm watch, I believe. Where's Flint? Flint's right here. Yeah, you're in a winter storm watch for right now. It'll likely either go probably to an advisory or a warning here in the next couple of either tonight or tomorrow morning.
They definitely will, especially when you enter that winter storm watch. It's basically like a safeguard that you're guaranteed at least a winter weather advisory out of it. Whereas if you don't have a winter storm watch, for example, near Detroit, then it's like a 50-50 chance that you actually won't get any advisory or warning out of it.
Yeah, I'm watching the feed here. I'm kind of curious if they're going to issue them soon because I know they do the 9 p.m. updates here. So I'm kind of curious if they make any changes. And as far as that model goes, looking at the rest of this model, I'm more so interested on the lake effect on this. It's not much is changing with the synoptic setup of this. Same tracks, same areas, just a little bit colder, which would trend a little bit better for snow. But overall, I'm kind of curious how this is looking for lake effect.
Bring on the lake effect.
Yeah, we're not loaded out to Saturday morning yet.
Goodness, loud.
I can hear it now. Yeah.
I don't want this stream to get copyrighted, so I might have to be using my mute button.
No, you're fine. It's not going to get that. It's not going to be that loud.
We're also probably about to hop off here pretty soon. We've been on here for about an hour, 40 minutes. Even though we have 400 people still watching us, there's not much else to talk about here. Not seeing too many new questions in here. So
yeah, this was supposed to be a short one.
Supposed to be, but it turns out it's we're always like hanging out with you guys. We always have time for you guys. So this is also an important system. So we want to make sure everybody's well covered and well prepared. And again, we will be live more than likely sometime tomorrow morning. I'll probably schedule something around 10 to 11 o'clock ish, go over the new updates, and then we'll probably take a break for around noon into the early afternoon. And once the heaviest snow begins, we'll probably start live streaming, and we'll try and get some of our chasers some live video feeds from around the state. We know we have a few people in the partner network who are going to be out active. I believe I might go out locally here if things ramp up, but I'm not sure what you guys are planning, but we'll be covering this live, at least on radar, and hopefully getting some field updates here as well. And if you guys have pictures and videos for tomorrow, feel free to message those. We also have a community or a group, a Facebook here, group on Facebook. It's called Michigan Storm Community. Feel free to join that group. We would appreciate that as well. You can share your content in that group as well. Yeah, Sherry, you can send us messages off stream.
There we go. Sorry, I was muted.
I
was about to say. Most importantly, if this is your first time here and you like what you're seeing, the stream, kind of keep it kind of mellow, kind of just keep you guys updated. If you like our content, feel free to follow us as well on Facebook, YouTube. We also have Instagram and TikTok as well. So, and Twitter, now X.
Still Twitter. Always Twitter.
Mm-hmm. And that's free.
Appreciate Denise. Whoops, wrong comment. Thank you for subscribing, Denise. Shout out to you. If you guys are interested in subscribing, you can do so on Facebook or Patreon. We give an in-depth forecast, other cool perks before we release them to the public. The subscribers are notified about the system a day or two before we posted publicly about it, and they've been getting updates, regular updates on the system, more so when we post publicly. But again, it's optional to subscribe, completely optional. Never going to withhold information here, but there is some perks to being a subscriber, including a live chat with us. If you want more specific information or questions for us, you have a connection there one-on-one with any of our staff members. So that's also a perk for you guys. Hillsdale is in the 3 to 6 on the east side, but on the west side of Hillsdale, we have you in the 5 to 10. It could go either way. Additional shifting will likely shift that. We'll have updates for you tomorrow, but right now, depending on where you're at in the county, 3 to 10 inches really. It's a large range, but it holds true.
Yeah, I saw one more question here, asking are 50 mile per hour winds damaging? And yes, they are. They can take out small tree limbs, even bigger tree limbs if they got that heavy snow on it. It could also take whole trees down, depending on how much heavy snow is on them.
That's correct. As a person in public safety, I love the information you guys provide. Hey, it's what we do here, Joe. And shout out to you. Looks like you're a firefighter there. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
I see a question from Kenny asking why the east side of the area is forecasted for less snow. That's because an area of rain is forecasted to move in late Friday night. It's not going to rain too long, but it'll be enough to cut down accumulations. And also, the heaviest band of snow will be going to the north. So Southeast Michigan will miss out on the heaviest band of snow as well. So the track of this is going to be up closer to that pink zone that you see on your map here.
How many inches per hour are we expecting?
I'd say probably 1 inch to 2. I don't think 3 inches per hour is really on the table.
That seems pretty extreme.
Yeah. If the low, like what it was earlier this week on some of the milder ones, if it was like near 960, but I think we're looking at 970 to 980 right now at the lowest, I would say 3 inch per hour is possible at some point, especially in northern Michigan. But I think 1 to 2 is a safe bet at this point, which is still pretty considerable.
Curtis asked, how do you sub? If you go to our main profile page on Facebook, you should see an option or a button that says sign up, and that'll take you to the subscriber hub, and you can sign up that way. Can you narrow down where, if any, would be considered for blizzard conditions? Honestly, Melissa, anywhere in that pink area especially would likely see blizzard-like conditions. It's going to be a matter of how long those conditions are going to last. It's probably going to issue the criteria for it. If I had to guess, the further north you go, probably the higher chance you're going to have of blizzard warnings. But again, they could happen anywhere in that pink zone, and even the blue zone too wouldn't be out of the question. But primarily the pink zones, and as well, Joel mentioned earlier up here in the western part of the UP near Ironwood, that area may get issued first for blizzard warnings, as per the NWS discussion this afternoon. The entire That's why I cover one more thing. The entire state's going to see heavy snow and combined with the winds. So no one area is safe here, but those conditions that last for a few hours are going to be the ones likely to get that blizzard warning. Go ahead, Joel.
I was just going to say, if you don't, I saw a comment about if you don't have to go out, don't, especially like if it's like a sporting event or something that can be just rescheduled in general. It's just not worth your life tomorrow, especially with those snow drifts out there that you see in those rural areas. And highway travel for sure. When you have visibilities quarter of a mile and people that will go 70 miles per hour and quarter mile visibilities, you're just asking for trouble. We see it all the time on 94. It happens every year. You don't want to be one of those people that ends up in a big crash like that. So definitely stay off the road tomorrow if you can. Get all your you won't need that much food, but if you do need some food for the weekend, get it now, and then it should get you through to Sunday.
Brianna asked if 50-mile-per-hour winds could rip her trailer roof off. No, 50 mile per hour is not going to rip your trailer's roof off. That'd be closer to probably 70 and 80 mile per hour. 50 mile per hour are winds that could take down small trees, small tree limbs. What we're concerned about with these winds are, as Nick mentioned, the weight of the snow on trees makes them more susceptible for blowing and those the weight of the trees can topple tree limbs and entire trees on power lines, and that's how you lose power. So 50 is not going to tear your roof off, but definitely could be damaging some trees.
Will they shut down the Mackinac Bridge tomorrow, especially with the wind? Yes.
Yes, they will.
That is very likely to happen.
Do you mean we could end up with more than 3 inches in Illinois County? It's possible. The further west you go, especially in the Irish Hills area where the elevation's higher, that's going to be your likely area who's going to see more snow. If you're closer to US 23, closer to Lake Erie, less snow is likely. And again, further shifting of this track will likely shift that zone. But the further west you go is going to be better for snow in Illinois County.
This is a winter storm, not a severe thunderstorm. Jordan.
Yes, Jamie, lake effect snow will ramp up, especially after Saturday. In the UP there, likely going to see about 6 to 10 there in the Horn. Could be a little bit higher there, especially with lake effect kicking in late Saturday. This map does not include lake effect snow after Saturday. Just keep that in mind. So we're likely going to have to adjust and make new maps for that lake effect snow exclusively. Again, here's your timing map for first snowflakes. If you're in Oakland County, 1 to 3 p.m. This is approximate timing, not exact. So if it falls at 12 p.m., if you're in the 1 to 3 zone, that's okay. If it falls at 4 p.m., that's also okay. This is an approximate guess at when snow is going to start to fall. Travel is going to decrease or deteriorate Friday afternoon, especially probably after 3 p.m. for the Oxford area as well. All right, guys. Will lake effect hit Sturgis and Colon? It's possible. Again, we're not going to get too specific on that until we see latest models, but it is possible given northwest winds there. It could reach down. Again, with these winds, lake effect could reach across the entire state, but the heaviest accumulation is likely going to be closer to the 131 corridor in areas west as well as the UP. Drew, I will be probably active late afternoon into the evening hours on Friday. Probably local, though. Not going to drive too much. I don't know, Joel, Nick, you guys plan to go out at all? Or
I mean, I'm right here in Mount Pleasant with Drew. I might go just drive around the block, but I'm not leaving the city. It's already crazy. It is.
I might bring my laptop and webcam on my drive home from work.
Okay. We can talk later about that as well and get a good plan going. But we do plan to be live on radar at the very least. We'll probably have some correspondents, I guess you can call out in the field, some chasers who are live out in the field, giving you guys information. And we'll also be going over some traffic areas as well. We have some maps you can use to look at traffic and any accidents, stuff like that. So we'll be covering this tomorrow. If you guys want to watch, you are more than welcome to come hang out with us. We'll try and be as relaxed as possible.
I will shout out our Chaser partner network really quick because we don't really give them the light of day as much when we're shouting out people in the stream, but definitely shout out to those guys. They do help bring content to you guys as well. So we appreciate them very much. If you guys want to be part of the Chaser partner network, I know tomorrow is probably not a great day. We don't want you guys going out risking your lives for content per se, but if it's something you guys are considering in the future, that's something you guys can look up at our website, www.michiganstormchasers.com. And then you can go from there.
Yeah, we also, with the partner network, we introduced it late of last year, so we didn't really get a chance to see a lot of content from those guys, but we do have other staff than the 5 of us here. I know we have Nick, we have Joel, myself, we have Chandler, we also have Alex. We also have our partner network. We have Ben, Cody, Chris, another Chris, we have Jason, Christina, and we also have Mike. So
and Drew.
We do have more partners, not official staff members, but they are partnered with us to bring you guys content. So shout out to those guys. We'll have more content coming for you guys. With more chasers next year. We'll have more coverage. So. With that being said, guys, I think we're about to wrap this up.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be on all day tomorrow. We're going to have an updated graphic of the snowfall totals in the morning, kind of fine tune that a little bit. So, yeah, if you haven't liked the stream yet, hit the like button on your way out if you're heading out now.
We're up to 1,100 reacts. Thank you.
Our best stream of the probably total of all time.
And of the year.
Yep.
The year just started.
Exactly.
Indiana, will they have extreme weather like we are here? I would say only extreme northern Indiana. Maybe as far down as Indianapolis. I was looking at the models a little bit, but again, we don't really cover Indiana.
All right. Should we head out?
Yep, I think we're going to head out, guys. All right. Like we said, we'll have a system update tomorrow morning sometime, right around probably 10 o'clock, give or take an hour or so. We'll schedule it out so you have some advanced warning to prepare if you guys want to watch. Go on break between about 12 and 2. We'll come back live when the snow starts to get heavier. Join us then. Watch our updates. Stay safe. And thank you guys for watching. As Joel said, hit that like button on your way out. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks, Sherry, for subscribing. Had to shout out really quick. But yes, thank you for watching, everyone.